Who let this black kid wander into my classroom? The words thundered across the lecture hall, Professor Whitaker's voice slicing through the air like a whip. 23 years of tenure, a six-figure salary, and a reputation for being untouchable gave him all the arrogance he needed. You, in the back row. The black one, stand up. Slowly, Malik Thompson rose to his feet. 19 years old. Silent. Calm. Well, would you look at that? Whitaker scoffed. A black face in advanced number theory. Must be my lucky day. He chuckled, dry and mean, before turning back to the class. Let me guess. Food stamps, government housing, maybe a Section 8 voucher tucked in your backpack. Did your welfare officer apply on your behalf? Or did some diversity committee throw your name in a hat just to fill a quota? He picked up a piece of chalk, the smugness oozing from every word. Watch closely. I'm about to write an equation that's broken minds far brighter than yours. PhDs have failed. Geniuses have quit. But now, we'll all get to witness why. Exactly, someone like you doesn't belong in real mathematics. The chalk screeched across the board. Malik didn't flinch. He stared at the problem with an unreadable expression. What Professor Whitaker did next would end up costing him everything. His job, his reputation, and the one secret he thought would never surface. Because Whitaker had no idea who Malik Thompson really was. But he was about to find out, and it would ruin him. Malik Thompson, at 19, was a sophomore at Whitmore University and already the youngest student in the toughest math class on campus. Advanced number theory. The graveyard of GPAs. Every day he took the same seat in the back corner. Quiet, consistent, invisible. He didn't speak in class. Never raised a hand. His homework? Always solid. A steady B+. Not too flashy. Just enough to pass unnoticed. And that was all by design. His grandmother had taught him something essential when he was just a boy. Never show him everything you've got. Keep something for yourself. Malik took that to heart, because being seen came at a price. Being exceptional made you a target, especially if you looked like him. So he faded into the background, played the long game, kept his brilliance buried where no one could touch it. What nobody knew, not the professors, not his classmates, not even his mother, was that Malik had been working on math problems that stumped PhDs since he was 15. And it all started with a dusty stack of notebooks. They weren't his. They belonged to a man he barely remembered, Darius Thompson, Malik's father. Darius had died when Malik was only 6. All Malik had left of him were fragments, fleeting memories, a scent, a whisper, the feel of a hand resting on his shoulder, and one sentence that never left him. Numbers don't lie, son. People do. That was it. Just that. A sentence that echoed in his bones long after the voice was gone. His mother never talked about Darius. Whenever Malik brought him up, her face would tense, and her words would vanish behind silence. Eventually, he stopped asking. His grandmother wasn't much different. Your daddy was a good man, she'd say. But the world was cruel. That was all he knew for 13 years. Until he found the attic. Until he found them, covered in dust, bound with string, forgotten like the man himself. His father's notebooks were filled cover to cover with pure brilliance. Equations, proofs, theories, pages and pages of complex mathematics Malik could barely understand at first. But the handwriting, it felt familiar, like a voice from the past speaking directly to him. He didn't know it then, but he was staring into his father's mind, his dreams, his unfinished legacy. Malik became obsessed. Every day after school, he skipped his own assignments to decode the ones left behind. He taught himself everything, one symbol at a time. By 15, he could read the pages fluently. By 17, he wasn't just understanding his father's work, he was building on it. And by 19, Malik Thompson was sitting in the back of Whitmore's most elite math class, solving problems in his head that the university's best minds couldn't crack on paper. But no one knew. He had kept it buried. He had no idea how soon he'd need it. He had no idea that his father's past was about to collide with his future in that very classroom. Now, let's talk about the man who believed he ruled that classroom. Professor Gordon Whitaker. At 58, He was more than just a teacher. He was an institution. 22 years of tenure, a dozen academic publications, and a God complex bigger than the campus itself. His class had a nickname, the Graveyard. Not because it was tough, though it was, but because it was where dreams went to die. Whitaker made sure of it. He thrived on fear, controlled his students with shame. He believed in what he called maintaining standards, a phrase he tossed around at every faculty meeting like a shield. But everyone knew what he really meant. 3 black students had filed complaints against him over the past 5 years, accusing him of racial bias, targeted humiliation, and outright hostility. All 3 cases were dismissed. Not enough evidence. And why? Because Whitaker had friends. The kind of friends who made complaints vanish and careers soar. But Whitaker also had something else. A secret, one he'd hidden for nearly 24 years. And that secret? It had just walked into his lecture hall and taken a seat in the back row. Standards upheld. Kingdom intact. Or so Professor Whitaker thought. What he didn't know, what he couldn't begin to imagine, was that Malik Thompson wasn't like the others. That quiet black kid from the south side of Chicago carried something Whitaker could never predict. A legacy, a gift, passed down from a man Whitaker had crushed 24 years ago. A man named Darius Thompson. Malik's father. October 15th, 2 p.m. Room 248. Advanced number theory. Malik walked in just like he always did, quietly, head low, backpack slung over one shoulder. He moved like a shadow, slipping unnoticed into his usual seat in the back corner, right near the exit. Same seat, same ritual. The rest of the room filled with familiar faces, 40 students, mostly juniors and seniors. Mostly white. Most of them came from the kind of families that didn't blink at Whitmore's $50,000 a year tuition. Malik was the outlier, a scholarship student. He worked nights unloading boxes at a warehouse to pay for what his grants didn't cover. No complaints, no shortcuts. He just showed up, kept his head down, did the work, and stayed invisible. At the front of the room, Whitaker was already waiting, chalk in hand. But something felt different today. There was a strange tension in the air, like a storm about to break. "Good afternoon, class," Whitaker said, his voice sharper than usual, laced with something that made students instinctively sit up straighter. "Today," he continued, smiling with that tight, predatory grin, "we're going to have a little fun." Students exchanged uneasy glances. Fun in Whitaker's class usually meant someone was about to be sacrificed. He turned to the board and drew a long, deliberate line across it. "I have a challenge problem," he said. "One I've been saving for years." Then came the twist. "Anyone who solves this," Whitaker said, "gets automatic extra credit, enough to secure an A for the semester. No matter what." Gasps and whispers rippled across the room. An automatic A? In Whitaker's class. That had never happened before. "But here's the catch," he added. The room went silent. "If you attempt it and fail, which you will, you lose a full letter grade. No exceptions. No appeals." Dead silence. No hands went up. No volunteers. No one moved. Whitaker's eyes scanned the room slowly, savoring the moment. Then his gaze locked on a familiar face in the back corner. "Mr. Thompson," he said, smiling wider now. "Stand up." Malik's stomach tightened. "Yes, sir?" "You've been awfully quiet this semester. Sitting back there, doing just enough to get by. Almost like you're hiding something." A few students turned to look. Some smirked. Some sneered. "Come up front," Whitaker said, voice gleaming with challenge. "Let's see what you're really made of." Malik rose slowly, walking down the aisle with the weight of 40 pairs of eyes tracking his every step, judging, expecting him to fold. Whitaker handed him the chalk. Their fingers touched briefly. Whitaker's hand was cold. "This problem," he said, "was first published in 1986. Some of the sharpest minds in mathematics have failed to solve it. PhD candidates, professors, entire departments. And now..." He leaned in, lowering his voice to a whisper. "Let's see if the ghetto genius can last 30 seconds. Then, louder, for everyone to hear. 5 minutes, Mr. Thompson. Solve it, or drop my class today." He turned and began writing. The chalk shrieked across the board, leaving behind a dense, intimidating maze of numbers, variables, and symbols. It was a modified Diophantine equation, layered, tangled, purposefully cruel. The kind of problem meant to break spirits. Whitaker stepped back, admiring his trap like a hunter who'd baited the snare. Your time starts now. Malik stared at the board. His heart should have been racing. His hands should have trembled. Every rational thought should have told him to walk away. Take the loss. Stay safe. But something in him stirred. A flicker in the back of his mind. A feeling. He'd seen this problem before. In a notebook. Old and worn. His father's handwriting scrawled in the margins. Dated October 1994. Everything else faded. The classroom, the students, the judgmental stares. Gone. All he could see was the board. All he could hear was his father's voice. Numbers don't lie, son. People do. Malik remembered it. Not just the equation, but the answer. The path. The method. Method C. That's what the margin note had said. He raised the chalk. What do you think you're doing? Whitaker chuckled. Save yourself the embarrassment. Malik didn't flinch. He started writing. His hand moved with certainty, not hesitation. Symbols flowed from the chalk like music, each line precise and deliberate. It wasn't a textbook method. It wasn't anything Whitaker or anyone else in the room had ever seen. Because it wasn't from a textbook. It was from Darius Thompson. A brilliant mind silenced too soon. A solution no one knew existed. Whitaker's grin began to fade. 30 seconds, someone said. Malik kept going. A student in the front row leaned forward, squinting. Another nudged their neighbor. Something was happening, something they didn't expect. 60 seconds. The board was filling up fast. Lines of logic cascading into clarity. Whitaker stepped closer, eyes narrowing. That method, those transformations, it was familiar. Unsettlingly so. Where did you? Malik didn't answer. He didn't stop. 90 seconds. Then, with one final stroke of chalk, he stepped back. Done. Dead silence. 94 seconds. That's how long it took to solve an equation that had stumped the world's best minds for 4 decades. The classroom froze. Whitaker stared at the board. His eyes darted from symbol to symbol, checking, second-guessing, desperate for a flaw. There wasn't one. The solution was flawless. Elegant. Perfect. That can't be right, he stammered. You know you couldn't. It's correct, Malik said quietly. You're welcome to verify it. From the back of the room, a single pair of hands started clapping. Then another, until the room erupted. Stop, Whitaker barked, raising his hand like a judge desperate to call back the verdict. Everyone stop. But no one listened, because the truth was already out. The applause eventually faded, but the impact had already hit like a freight train. A 19-year-old black student from Chicago's South Side had just solved a problem that had stumped scholars for decades, and he'd done it in front of 40 witnesses. Professor Whitaker spun around, his face flushed red, his hands trembling with barely contained rage. Where did you learn that method? He demanded. That approach, it's not in any textbook. Malik looked at him, calm but unwavering. My father taught me. Something in Whitaker shifted. His voice faltered for the first time. Your father? His name was Darius Thompson, Malik said. He died when I was 6. And just for a moment, just one fleeting second, Whitaker's mask cracked. There it was. Fear, recognition, maybe even panic. Then, just as quickly, the armor slammed back into place. Class dismissed, he snapped. Everyone out. Chairs scraped. Backpacks zipped. Students bolted. The room emptied in seconds. But Malik stayed rooted. Mr. Thompson, Whitaker said through clenched teeth, his voice barely holding together. You'll be hearing from me. By dinner time, the campus was buzzing. The story had already taken on a life of its own. You hear what happened in Whitaker's class. Some sophomore solved the impossible equation. In, like, a minute and a half. Blew Whitaker's mind. Made the guy lose it. A black kid, too. Real quiet. Malik Thompson. Even students who didn't know what number theory was were repeating the story. Malik, the ghost from the back row, had just made one of the toughest professors on campus look like a fool. Malik wanted nothing to do with the attention. He went straight to his apartment, locked the door, drew the blinds, and tried to disappear again. It didn't work. His phone lit up with messages from classmates he barely knew. Friend requests from strangers. Random DMs filled with praise, questions, curiosity. He ignored them all. But what he couldn't ignore was the weight in his gut. Whitaker's reaction to his father's name. That wasn't surprise. That was recognition. That was fear. 2 days later, Malik found out why. The email hit his inbox at 3:47 p.m. Subject: academic integrity violation, immediate action required. He read it once, then again, and a third time. Each pass hit harder than the last. Academic integrity violation. The words were heavy. They meant cheating. They meant hearings. They meant he could lose everything he'd worked for. At 4 p.m. sharp, Malik walked into Whitaker's office. The door shut behind him like a vault. Whitaker sat calmly at his desk, everything in place. Papers neatly stacked, posture controlled, tone as smooth as glass. "Take a seat, Mr. Thompson." Malik sat. The chair was stiff, uncomfortable by design. "I'll be direct," Whitaker began, folding his hands. "Your little performance the other day has raised some serious concerns." "Concerns?" Malik asked, eyes narrowing. "Your solution," Whitaker continued, "was too clean, too fast, too advanced, especially for someone with your background." Malik felt heat rise in his chest. "My background?" Whitaker didn't flinch. "Let me be blunt. No sophomore from your circumstances solves a problem like that in 90 seconds. Not without help. Not without cheating." "I didn't cheat," Malik said firmly. "Then explain it," Whitaker challenged. "Explain how a kid from the South Side, working night shifts and scraping by on financial aid, managed to solve a mathematical riddle that stumped professionals for 40 years. Malik kept his voice steady, though his heart was thundering. "Like I said in class, my father taught me." Whitaker raised an eyebrow, his smirk returning. "Ah yes, your father. The mysterious dead mathematician." His tone was mocking. Sharp. Convenient, isn't it? A mentor who can't be questioned. A witness who can't be called. "It's the truth," Malik said, jaw tightening. "Well, here's my truth," Whitaker said, pulling a sheet of paper from the stack. "I think you found that solution online. Memorized it. Waited for your dramatic moment to play the hero." He slid the paper across the desk. Malik stared at it. His name was at the top. Phrases like fraudulent work, academic misconduct, and pending expulsion jumped off the page. "This is a formal complaint," Whitaker said, almost smug. "It's being filed with the dean today. You now have 2 weeks to prove your innocence." He leaned back, smiling like a man who thought he'd already won. "If you can't, and you won't, you'll be expelled. Permanently. Your record will follow you forever. No scholarships, no graduate programs, nothing. You'll be lucky to hold on to that warehouse job." Malik's hands balled into fists, but he didn't lose his composure. "I learned that method from my father's notebooks," he said. "He was brilliant. He worked on that exact problem." For the first time, something flickered in Whitaker's eyes. "Your father's notebooks?" "Yes," Malik replied. "Darius Thompson." That flicker turned into a crack. Whitaker's mask was slipping. "Never heard of him," he said too quickly. "He studied mathematics." Everyone who knew him said. "I said I've never heard of him." Whitaker snapped, rising to his feet. "This meeting is over. You'll receive a hearing notice within 48 hours. He moved to the door and yanked it open. "I suggest you withdraw now. Save yourself the humiliation." Malik stood slowly, legs shaking but eyes locked on Whitaker's. "I didn't cheat," he said. "And I'm not withdrawing." "Then you're a fool." "Just like," Whitaker stopped himself. Malik caught it. "Just like who, Professor?" Whitaker's face darkened. "Get out." Malik left, but one question burned in his chest as he walked down the hall. Just like who? Whitaker knew something. Something about his father. Something buried. That night, Malik made the hardest phone call of his life. "Mom," he said quietly, "I need to ask you something about Dad." There was a long silence. "Why now, Malik?" Because a professor at Whitmore is trying to get me expelled. He's accusing me of cheating. And when I said Dad's name, Malik paused. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Another silence. Longer this time. Then something Malik hadn't heard in years. His mother, crying. "What's the professor's name?" she whispered. He hesitated, then said it. "Gordon Whitaker." A sharp breath, then a muffled sob on the other end of the line. "Mom? What is it? What happened?" "Come home this weekend, Malik." Her voice trembled. "There are things I should have told you a long time ago. Things about your father and about that man." "What things?" Malik asked, his chest tightening. "Not over the phone," she whispered. "Please just come home." Then, click. The line went dead. Malik sat alone in his apartment, surrounded by the notebooks that had shaped his life. His father's handwriting, the equations he'd spent the last 6 years studying, memorizing, worshipping like scripture. He opened the oldest one, the first one he ever found. The title page, faded and smudged, read, "Whitmore University, Fall 1994. His heart sank. His father had been here, at this university, in this very department, 24 years ago. He flipped frantically toward the back, searching. Then he found it. A torn page, barely legible, most of the text gone. But one word remained, scrawled faintly in pencil. Whitaker. And just like that, the pieces started connecting. Whatever happened between Darius Thompson and Gordon Whitaker didn't just destroy a career. It destroyed a life. And now, it was coming for Malik. That weekend, Malik drove home. 4 hours through rain-slicked roads and empty highways, his mind racing faster than the wheels beneath him. When he walked through the front door, his mother was waiting at the kitchen table, a cardboard box sitting in front of her. A box Malik had never been allowed to touch. "I kept this hidden," Malik Thompson said, her voice barely audible. "I thought if you never knew, you'd be safe." Safe from what? She opened the box. Inside were letters, documents, old photographs. A young man stared back at him. Malik's eyes. Malik's smile. A face blurred by time, but unmistakably familiar. "Your father studied at Whitmore," she said, her hands trembling. "He was their brightest mind. Everyone said he was going to change the world." "What happened?" Her voice cracked. His advisor happened. She handed him a yellowing letter, dated February 1995. "Dear Mr. Thompson, following the investigation into academic misconduct, your enrollment at Whitmore University is hereby terminated." Malik's eyes dropped to the signature at the bottom. Gordon Whitaker, department chair. His blood went cold. Whitaker was Dad's advisor. More than that, his mother whispered. Darius developed a breakthrough. The same equation you solved in class. She swallowed hard. He was going to publish it. It would have made his name. Changed everything. But Whitaker stole it. Tears welled in her eyes. "Yes. He took your father's work, published it under his name in 1995, built his entire career off that theft. And when Darius tried to speak up, tried to fight back, he was accused of plagiarism." Malik's throat closed. His own work. "The university believed the tenured professor," she said, "not the young black graduate student. There was no real investigation, no due process, just silence and shame." Malik felt the room spin around him. But one question remained. "Mom, how did Dad die?" Monica looked away. "Please, I need to know." She took a long breath. "You were 6, she said softly. "He tried to move on. Got a job. Married me. Had you. But the injustice, it never left him." Her eyes met Malik's. Red. Full of pain. He left a note. Said he couldn't fight anymore. That the system had beaten him. She couldn't finish. But Malik understood. His father hadn't just died. He had been broken. Slowly. Methodically. By a man who stole his legacy and walked away untouched. And that same man. Still teaching. Still powerful. Now trying to destroy him. "I'm not going to let him win again," Malik said, voice steady. "Malik, please," his mother pleaded. "Transfer. Get out of there. Don't let him do to you what he did to your father." He shook his head. Dad walked away. He gave up. And it killed him. Malik stood tall. Resolute. "I'm going to finish what he started." and I'm going to make Gordon Whitaker answer for everything. The next 2 weeks were hell. Malik filed his appeal, but the university demanded evidence, something solid, something Whitaker had spent nearly a quarter-century hiding. The Academic Integrity Office gave him a deadline, 14 days. 2 weeks to prove he wasn't a fraud. 2 weeks to expose a crime older than he was. It was never going to be enough. The whispers started immediately. That's the guy who cheated in Whitaker's class. Heard he stole it off the internet. Affirmative action kid. They always get caught eventually. Students who never spoke to him suddenly had opinions. His study group ghosted him. His lab partner asked for a transfer. Professors stopped making eye contact. Some walked past him like he wasn't there at all. Even the warehouse manager got in a jab. Picked up a few extra shifts for you, he said with a smirk. Heard you'll have more free time soon. Malik didn't ask how he knew. News spread fast, especially when someone in power wanted it to. He stopped going to class. What was the point? Every lecture felt like a courtroom. Every professor a potential witness. He spent his nights alone, surrounded by the same notebooks that raised him. The same pages that taught him everything he knew. The pages no one believed were real. How do you prove a dead man's genius? How do you fight a system built to protect the thief? Malik didn't know. And every day, his hearing drew closer. Then the final blow arrived. A letter in his inbox. Dear Mr. Thompson, your academic appeal hearing has been scheduled for November 28th at 9 a.m. Please note this date falls during the academic holiday break. Faculty advocates and student representatives may have limited availability. Malik stared at the screen. November 28th. The day after Thanksgiving. A hearing scheduled during break. When the campus would be empty. When no one would be around to witness what was coming. Not justice. A setup. This wasn't a hearing. This was an execution. Mini cliffhanger. Malik didn't go down quietly. He tried. He really tried. He called every office he could think of. The Academic Integrity Office. Closed for the holiday. Student Advocacy Center. Straight to voicemail. Legal aid? We'll get back to you after the break. The dean's office? The schedule is final due to the seriousness of the allegation. Every door slammed shut. Every path blocked. Every hope snuffed out. He sat alone in his apartment, the walls pressing in like they were trying to crush him. His father's notebooks were spread across the floor like gravestones. Pages full of brilliance, now reduced to evidence no one believed in. For the first time, Malik understood what had broken his father. Why he gave up. Why he wrote that final letter. The system hadn't failed him. It had worked exactly as designed. It was built to shield men like Whitaker. And built to crush men like Darius Thompson. And now Malik. Maybe Mom was right. He whispered into the stillness. Maybe I should just walk away. Mini cliffhanger. That's when he found it, the envelope, tucked beneath everything else at the bottom of his father's box. A sealed envelope, the paper yellowed with age, addressed in faded handwriting. To Malik, when he's old enough. His father's script. The same careful penmanship that had filled all those notebooks. Malik's hands trembled as he broke the seal. Son, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I wasn't strong enough. They took everything. My work, my name, my future, even my will to fight. But they couldn't take you. And they'll never take what's in your blood. You have the gift. I saw it before you could even speak. The way your eyes traced patterns. The way you reached for my notebooks before you could walk. One day, you'll be better than I ever was. And when they come for you, and they will, don't make my mistake. Don't vanish. Don't let them win. Fight. Even when it hurts. Even when you're alone. Even when the whole world tells you it's over, fight. Because giving up isn't peace. It's just another kind of death. Malik clutched the letter to his chest. His father knew this day would come. Mini cliffhanger. And he had left Malik a message for when it did. That night, Malik didn't sleep. Instead, he worked furiously. He laid out every one of his father's notebooks. He began to organize them, date them, cross-reference them. Then came the breakthrough. Darius Thompson, 1994, Original Equations, Theorems, Solutions. Whitaker, 1995, published papers containing the exact same work. Line for line. The theft was undeniable. The timeline proved everything. Darius Thompson had discovered it first. Whitaker had stolen it. But Malik knew it wouldn't be enough. Not in a university that had protected Whitaker for decades. Not without a name. Not without someone they couldn't ignore. He needed someone inside. Someone with power. Someone Whitaker couldn't silence. He opened his laptop and pulled up the faculty directory, scanning names, looking for an ally. Then one name stood out. Dr. Simone Carter, Associate Professor of Applied Mathematics. MIT PhD, published, respected, and one of only 3 black faculty members at Whitmore. The only one in the mathematics department. Malik had heard whispers about her. That she didn't play politics. That she didn't back down. That she fought for students when no one else would. The clock read 5:47 a.m. Too early for a call. But not for an email. He started typing. Dr. Carter, my name is Malik Thompson. You don't know me, but I need your help. Professor Whitaker is accusing me of cheating. But I have evidence he's been hiding something for 24 years. Something about my father, Darius Thompson. Please. You're my last hope. He hit send. Then waited. Minutes stretched into hours. Hours into an eternity. Dr. Simone Carter was 48, with a resume that made half the department jealous. MIT doctorate. Groundbreaking publications. 2 decades of navigating academia with twice the brilliance and 3 times the caution. She knew exactly when to stay quiet. And for 24 years, she had stayed quiet about Darius Thompson. Not anymore. Her office was small, cluttered with books and journals. Degrees lined the wall. On her desk sat one framed photo. 5 smiling graduate students, arms around each other, frozen in time. Close the door, she said. Malik obeyed. Sit. And start from the beginning. Don't leave anything out. He did. For 30 minutes, Malik told her everything. From the chalkboard humiliation to the notebooks, to the letter in his father's box. He laid it all out. Dr. Carter didn't say a word. She listened, still, silent, absorbing every detail. When he finished, she reached for the photograph. Do you see him? She asked, pointing. Malik looked. Second from the left, a young black man, smiling like the world hadn't broken him yet. That's your father, Darius Thompson. Malik's breath caught in his throat. You knew him? I knew him well, she said quietly. He was the most gifted mathematician I've ever met. Everyone said he was going to redefine the field. Her eyes darkened. And then Whitaker destroyed him. Mini cliffhanger. You saw it happen? Malik asked. I saw everything, she said. She stood, turning to the window. Your father developed something extraordinary. A solution to a problem that had gone unsolved for generations. It was going to make his name. She turned back to him. That same equation Whitaker made you solve? That was your father's masterpiece. Malik's chest tightened. And Whitaker was his advisor, she continued. He had full access to Darius's work. Every note, every draft, every idea. She paused, her voice trembling with rage. And he stole it. In 1995, Whitaker published it under his own name. Built an empire on it. Tenure, awards, fame. Her jaw clenched. And when your father tried to fight back, Whitaker accused him of plagiarism. His own work, his father's ideas, his father's discovery, stolen and repackaged under someone else's name. And the university had sided with the tenured white professor over the young black graduate student, without so much as a real investigation. No hearing, no questions, just erasure. Malik's jaw clenched as anger surged through him. You were there, he said, voice tight. You could have said something. I know. Dr. Carter's voice cracked. I was 22. A black woman trying to survive in a department that barely tolerated my existence. Speaking up back then, it would have ended everything I'd worked for. She met his eyes, her own full of regret. I've carried that silence for 24 years. I wake up with it, go to bed with it. And every time Whitaker walks past me in the hallway, I remember exactly what I didn't do. Mini cliffhanger. Then why now? Malik asked. Why help me? Because I'm tired of being a coward, she said. And because you have something your father never did. What's that? She pulled open her desk drawer and retrieved a folder, placing it between them. Proof. The kind no one can ignore. She opened it, spreading papers across the desk. This, she said, pointing, is a research proposal your father submitted in October 1994. It outlines the exact methods Whitaker later published under his own name in 1995. Malik stared at the pages. His father's signature. His father's work. All dated and documented. A full year before Whitaker claimed it as his own. Dr. Carter pulled out another sheet. And this is a formal complaint your father filed in February 1995. He accused Whitaker of stealing his work. Malik scanned the lines. His father's pain and frustration preserved in ink. The university dismissed it, she said. Lack of evidence. 2 weeks later, they expelled him. Mini cliffhanger. So he's done this before, Malik whispered. And they let him get away with it for 24 years. Dr. Carter nodded, leaning forward. But this time is different. You have something Whitaker can't deny. Your father's original notebooks. If we can prove they're real, not doctored, not fabricated, his entire defense falls apart. How? Malik asked. How do we prove they're authentic? We don't, she said. We get someone else to. Someone so unimpeachable, the university can't ignore them. She picked up her phone. My old advisor, Dr. Harold Kensington, MIT Emeritus, Fields Medal nominee, the most respected mathematician in the country. Malik blinked. You think he'll help? I don't know, she admitted. He's 71. Semi-retired. Doesn't take meetings anymore. Still, she dialed. The phone rang. Once, twice. Harold, she said. It's Simone. Pause. Yes, I know it's been a while. I need a favor. A big one. Another pause. Academic fraud. 24 years old. The victim's son. She looked at Malik. His name is Thompson. Darius Thompson's son. Silence. Then a smile. Thank you. I'll send everything tonight. She hung up. Dr. Kensington is assembling a review panel. 3 mathematicians. Independent evaluation. Malik's breath caught. How long do I have? 48 hours, she said. You'll need to demonstrate your skill, defend your process, and prove that your talent is real. He exhaled. What's the catch? One of the panelists, Dr. Carter said quietly, is Dr. Nathaniel Pierce from Princeton. She paused. He was at Whitmore in 1994. Malik's stomach dropped. He knew my father? It's likely, she replied. They may have been in the same program. He could be an ally, or another one of Whitaker's protectors. Malik stood slowly. 3 experts. 48 hours. 1 chance. Dr. Carter nodded. If you pass, the plagiarism charge crumbles. If you fail, she didn't have to finish. Malik already knew. November 26th, 9 a.m. A quiet conference room in downtown Whitmore. No university logos. No administrators. No Whitaker. Just Malik. And 3 of the sharpest mathematical minds in the country. At the table sat Dr. Harold Kensington, 71, MIT Emeritus, Fields Medal nominee. White hair, sharp eyes, and a presence that filled the room like gravity. Dr. Elaine Mercer, 55, Stanford. A cryptography expert known for her brutal honesty and zero tolerance for anything but excellence. And finally, Dr. Nathaniel Pierce, 62, Princeton. Specialist in number theory. A Whitmore graduate from 1995, the year Darius Thompson was expelled. Malik looked at Pierce's face. It gave nothing away. Was he a witness? Or a threat? He didn't know. Dr. Kensington began. Mr. Thompson, you understand why we're here. Malik nodded. Yes, sir. We're here to determine whether your mathematical abilities are authentic. Whether your solution was the result of talent or fraud. Kensington's voice was cool. Unbiased. Not cruel, just clinical. We're not here to save you or condemn you. We're here for the truth. Malik straightened his shoulders. Understood. Good, Kensington said. Then let's begin. The first problem involved elliptic curves, a graduate-level challenge that separates true scholars from students simply going through the motions. Malik picked up his pencil. His hand trembled, just for a second. Everything was riding on this. His future. His name. His father's legacy. Then he heard it. A memory, faint but powerful. His father's voice. Numbers don't lie, son. People do. Malik took a breath and started writing. The first problem, 43 minutes. Expected time, 90. Dr. Mercer raised her eyebrows. The second problem, modular arithmetic with cryptographic applications. Even harder. But Malik found an elegant shortcut. Something not in any textbook. Something from his father's notebooks. 1 hour, 8 minutes. Dr. Kensington leaned forward, more intrigued now than skeptical. The third problem, open-ended proof construction. No right answers. Just raw thinking. Pure math. The kind of challenge that reveals brilliance or exposes bluffing. Malik closed his eyes, remembering how his father solved problems. Not head-on. Sideways. Unexpected. Beautiful. He opened his eyes again and wrote. Mini cliffhanger. 3 hours, 22 minutes. He set his pencil down. It was done. The panel collected Malik's work in silence, conferring behind lowered voices. He sat still, unmoving, his entire future suspended in that quiet room. Dr. Pierce lingered the longest over the pages, his brow furrowed, not in doubt, but in something deeper, something closer to guilt. Then Dr. Kensington looked up. We'll need 30 minutes to deliberate. Please wait outside. Malik nodded and stepped out into the hallway, where Dr. Carter was already pacing. How did it go? She asked. I don't know, he said softly. I did everything I could. That's all anyone can ask. They waited. 30 minutes passed. Then 45. Then a full hour. Each second dragged by like a silent judgment. Mini cliffhanger. Finally, the door creaked open. Dr. Pierce stood there alone. Mr. Thompson, he said, voice uncertain. Could I speak with you privately? Dr. Carter bristled. If you have something to say. This is personal. Pierce interrupted, his voice strained. Malik nodded and followed him a few steps down the hallway, out of earshot. The older man looked down at the floor, unable to meet his eyes. I knew your father, Pierce said quietly. Malik froze. We were in the same doctoral program back in 1994. Darius Thompson was the most brilliant mathematician I'd ever met. Everyone knew he was destined for greatness. What happened? Malik asked, though deep down he already knew. Whitaker happened, Pierce whispered. His hands trembled. Your father discovered something groundbreaking, revolutionary, and Whitaker stole it, claimed it as his own. You knew? Malik's voice cracked with disbelief. Pierce finally looked up, his eyes misting. We all knew. Every one of us. When Whitaker accused your father of plagiarism, we knew it was a lie. But he had tenure, power, connections. We were scared. Malik felt the fury rising. You let him destroy my father. Yes. Pierce's voice broke. I've lived with that shame for 24 years. I told myself maybe your father had made a mistake. Maybe it wasn't what it seemed. But I knew the truth. I just didn't act on it. He reached into his jacket and handed Malik an envelope. This is my written statement. Everything I saw. Everything I should have said back then. Malik took it, hands shaking. Why now? Because I watched you in that room. Pierce said, his voice raw. I watched you solve those problems. And I realized, this isn't just about you. You're fighting for a man who never got his chance. A man we failed. He straightened his shoulders, finally standing tall. I'm not failing him again. I've revised my assessment. And I'll testify against Whitaker. Mini cliffhanger. Malik looked down at the envelope. 24 years of silence, finally shattered. But would it be enough? The door opened again. Dr. Kensington stood at the threshold. Mr. Thompson, we're ready. Malik stepped inside, Dr. Carter at his side. Pierce rejoined the panel. Dr. Kensington held Malik's test papers in his hand. Mr. Thompson, he began. In my 43-year career in mathematics, I've evaluated students from MIT, Princeton, Cambridge, some of the finest minds in the world. He paused, letting the silence settle. Your work today was exceptional. Malik barely breathed. Problem 1. Solved in less than half the expected time. Problem 2. You used a method I've only seen referenced in advanced research. Problem 3. Your proof showed original, professional-level thinking. He looked up, eyes meeting Malik's. "It is my expert opinion that you are no fraud. You are a rare and genuine mathematical talent." Dr. Mercer nodded. "Agreed. The accusations against you are unfounded." Then Dr. Pierce stood. "And I am ready to submit formal testimony regarding what I witnessed in 1994, how Professor Whitaker acquired the work he's claimed as his own for over 2 decades. Malik finally exhaled, the first true breath he'd taken in weeks. Dr. Kensington looked at him, softening. "Mr. Thompson, your father would be proud." November 28th, 9 a.m. The university's administration building. The hearing room was cold, sterile, built to intimidate. On one side sat Malik and Dr. Carter, with a thick folder of evidence between them. On the other, Professor Gordon Whitaker, polished, composed, smiling as if the outcome had already been written in stone. He had no idea what was coming. "This case is straightforward," Whitaker began, voice calm, rehearsed. "Mr. Thompson submitted a solution far beyond the capabilities of any undergraduate. He refuses to explain its origin. The only reasonable conclusion is academic dishonesty." He looked toward the panel. "Whitmore holds its students to the highest standards. We must protect our integrity." The dean turned. "Mr. Thompson, your response?" Malik stood. His voice, though quiet, didn't waver. "I didn't cheat. I couldn't have, because the method I used came from my father's notebooks. Notebooks written in 1994, a year before Professor Whitaker published the same solution under his name." Whitaker's smile twitched. "Objection. Those notebooks could be fabricated." Dr. Carter rose. "Then explain this." She placed a yellow document on the table. A research proposal submitted by Darius Thompson to the Whitmore Mathematics Department. October 1994. It outlines the same methodology Whitaker published in 1995. Another page. And this is the formal complaint Darius Thompson filed in February 1995, accusing Professor Whitaker of stealing his work. Whitaker's face drained of color. "Those records are irrelevant," he snapped. "Darius Thompson was a plagiarist who—" "Darius Thompson," Malik interrupted, "was my father." Silence. "And he wasn't a plagiarist. He was the victim." Dr. Carter continued. "We've also secured independent evaluation of Mr. Thompson's mathematical ability, conducted by Dr. Harold Kensington of MIT, Dr. Elaine Mercer of Stanford, and Dr. Nathaniel Pierce of Princeton." She handed over 3 letters. All 3 confirm that Malik Thompson is a gifted mathematician. All 3 confirm the plagiarism accusation is without merit. Whitaker's composure cracked. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "That proves nothing about where he learned the method." "There's more, Dr. Carter said, her voice like steel. "Dr. Pierce has submitted a sworn statement." She slid the final document across the table. Dr. Pierce was present at Whitmore in 1994. He witnessed Professor Whitaker take credit for Darius Thompson's work. He witnessed the lies. He witnessed the cover-up. Whitaker shot up from his seat, voice rising in protest. "This is hearsay. Pierce is lying. He wasn't even." "Sit down, Professor Whitaker." The dean's voice cut like ice. "You'll have your chance to respond." Whitaker slowly sank back into his chair, his hands visibly shaking. Malik stepped forward. His voice didn't tremble, it carried. "My father was just 21 years old when Professor Whitaker ruined his life. He was falsely accused of stealing his own discovery, expelled, blacklisted, erased. He never recovered." Malik's voice cracked, but he didn't stop. "When I was 6 years old, my father took his own life. Because of what this man did to him." He pointed directly at Whitaker. "And now, almost 25 years later, he tried to do it again, to me. Why? Because I walked into his classroom. Because I solved an equation he thought no one else could. Because he couldn't handle the idea that a quiet black kid from the south side of Chicago might know something he never could." The lights dimmed slightly as a video played on the screen. Dr. Kensington appeared, his voice firm. "I've thoroughly reviewed Malik Thompson's work. His abilities are extraordinary. His methods match precisely with the content of notebooks written by his father. material that predates Professor Whitaker's 1995 publication by over a year. Kensington leaned toward the camera, gaze unwavering. In my professional opinion, Professor Gordon Whitaker built his entire academic career on stolen research. And his accusation against Malik Thompson isn't merely false. It's a continuation of a fraud that began nearly a quarter-century ago. The video ended. The room was silent. The dean turned to Whitaker. "Professor Whitaker, do you have anything to say?" Whitaker opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He tried again. Still nothing. For the first time in over 2 decades, Gordon Whitaker had no words. The dean nodded. "The charge of academic dishonesty against Malik Thompson is hereby dismissed, effective immediately." A pause. "And an investigation will be launched into Professor Whitaker for alleged research theft, fraudulent accusations, and abuse of academic power." Malik finally let out a long breath. After 24 years, justice had finally arrived. But before the room adjourned, he rose once more. "I didn't come here for revenge." He looked at Whitaker, this man who had slowly killed his father, and almost did the same to him. "I came here for my father's name." His voice was calm now, certain. Darius Thompson was a gifted mathematician. He was 21 when his life was stolen, his ideas taken, his reputation shattered, his name erased. Malik reached into his bag and pulled out a worn notebook. This is his work, his legacy, and he deserves to be remembered, not as a fraud, not as a failure, but as what he truly was, a genius, a pioneer, a man who changed mathematics, even if no one knew it. He placed the notebook gently on the table. That changes today. It took 3 months. 4 separate cases of research theft were confirmed. 3 former students came forward with similar stories. A pattern of misconduct stretching 2 decades unraveled piece by piece. Whitaker didn't resign. He was stripped, his tenure revoked, his name removed from the scholarship he'd once created, his awards rescinded, his publications flagged with ethical violations. He wasn't just fired, he was erased. No conferences, no faculty meetings, no honors. The last anyone heard, he was teaching remedial math at a small community college 2 states away, living alone in a 1-bedroom apartment, making $40,000 a year. He had once tried to erase Malik. Now he was the one the world had forgotten. Whitmore University officially corrected the 1995 publication, crediting Darius Thompson as the true author. The Association of American Mathematicians released a public statement acknowledging the error. 24 years of silence were shattered in a single sentence. A scholarship was established in Darius Thompson's name. The Darius Thompson Mathematics Scholarship, for first-generation college students, kids from struggling neighborhoods, kids like Malik. In the spring, Malik published his first paper. The Impossible Equation, solved his way. The dedication read, "For my father, Darius Thompson, who solved it first, who taught me that numbers don't lie, and who deserved so much more than he got." Dr. Simone Carter became the first Black woman to chair the mathematics department at Whitmore 2 years later. Dr. Nathaniel Pierce donated his entire retirement savings to the Darius Thompson Scholarship. Penance, he called it, for 24 years of silence. Whitmore restructured its academic integrity policies. No more closed-door hearings. No more holiday scheduling. No more tenured professors investigating their own misconduct. A new review board was formed. Anonymous reporting. Mandatory bias training for all faculty. 3 other universities followed suit, citing the Thompson case. All of it because one student solved one equation and refused to back down. Malik's mother hung the framed newspaper article in their living room. Local student exposes decades of academic fraud. Father's legacy restored. Below it, she placed a photo, Darius Thompson at 21, smiling. Hopeful. Finally seen. 1 year later, Malik stood at the front of a familiar classroom, not as a student, but as a teaching assistant. Same room, same blackboard, different energy. In the back row, a Black sophomore sat alone. Quiet. Invisible. Just like Malik used to be. After class, Malik walked up to him. "You're good at this," he said. "I've seen your work." The student looked surprised. You noticed? Malik smiled. Someone always does. He handed the student a notebook, a copy of his father's equations. This helped me. Maybe it'll help you too. Because this story, this fight, was never really about math. It was about power. Who gets to have it? Who gets silenced? And what happens when the system decides you don't belong? Gordon Whitaker looked at Malik Thompson and saw a target. He didn't see a prodigy. He didn't see a legacy. He didn't see a son carrying his father's dream. He had no idea who he was dealing with. And that's the thing about underestimating people. They're often the ones who change the world. Eventually, they'll realize they were wrong about you, just like Whitaker did. 23 years of deception, wiped away in 94 seconds by the very student he tried to erase. Maybe someone made you feel like you didn't belong. Maybe they judged your skin, your story, your silence. Maybe you're still waiting for your 94 seconds. It's coming. They don't know your strength. They don't know what you've endured. They don't see the brilliance you've kept hidden just to survive. But when your moment arrives, make them remember your name. And when you do, tell your story, because someone else is waiting to believe in theirs. If this story moved you, subscribe for more powerful narratives that expose injustice and celebrate resilience. Drop a comment if you've ever been underestimated. Your voice matters. This is more than storytelling. This is reckoning. Thank you for watching. Subscribe me and hit the notification bell to not miss new stories. Bye.